Have you ever wondered what really happens when the last train of the night departs, and the cold fluorescent lights of the London Underground flicker before going out? Some say that at those hours, the sounds echoing through the tunnels don't come only from the trains, but from voices ancient, distant, belonging to souls trapped between the rails and time itself. Invisible passengers traveling endlessly along forgotten routes. Witnesses claim to have seen pale figures reflected in the windows, faces that vanish the instant you turn to look. Others describe the air turning icy without reason, as if something unseen were moving right beside them. And then there are the train drivers. Men who swear they've seen someone standing on the platform, silently waving, but when the train stops, there's no one there. Are these stories merely the product of imagination, tales born from a city steeped in history and mystery? Poor does London, with its dark tunnels and abandoned stations, still shelter passengers who never reached their final destination. The London Underground is more than just a transport system. It is a vast subterranean labyrinth carrying over 160 years of history. And some say the souls of those who never left its tunnels. Opened in 1863, the London Underground was the world's first subway, a marvel of Victorian engineering. But behind its triumphs lies a past marked by tragedy, accidents, and human suffering. During its construction, hundreds of workers lost their lives digging through the earth, victims of cave-ins, floods, and the suffocating conditions of the underground. When the plague swept through the city, countless bodies were buried near the new lines, and according to historical records, several tunnels were carved straight through ancient cemeteries. Many believe that when engineers disturbed that soil, they awakened something that was never meant to be done. As London expanded, the underground became a city beneath the city, a living network pulsing under the streets, carrying millions of passengers each day. Few of them realize that just beneath their feet lie forgotten stations and tracks that lead nowhere. Places like Aldwych, Down Street, and the British Museum station have long been sealed off from the public, silent relics of another age. And it's within these dark, abandoned corridors, where time itself seems to have stopped, that the most unsettling stories began to emerge. Ghostly Victorian figures, echoing footsteps in empty tunnels, strange whispers in the dark, maintenance workers, train drivers, even late-night passengers have reported encounters that defy every rational explanation. So what lies behind these accounts? Are they merely tricks of the mind, coincidences shaped by exhaustion and fear, or something far older, something that lingers between iron, steel, and shadow in the depths of the British capital? Among the countless tales whispered through London's underground tunnels, few are as chilling as those tied to its abandoned station, places where silence feels heavy, like fog, and time itself seems to have forgotten to move. One of the most infamous is British Museum Station, closed in 1943. Long before its gates were sealed, workers began reporting strange sounds coming from the walls, murmurs in an ancient tunnel, footsteps echoing when no one and the constant sensation of being watched. Some believed the station was cursed, built too close to the catacombs beneath the British Museum, home to Egyptian mummies and artifacts taken from ancient tombs. Then came the first sightings. A mysterious woman dressed in Egyptian garments, wandering the deserted platforms. Her face was pale, almost linen white, like the wrappings of a mummy, and her eyes, hollow and distant, carried a sorrow older than the city itself. Those who claimed to have seen her described a low, mournful chant that seemed to make the air vibrate. A few even fainted, overwhelmed by the icy touch of her presence. 2 years later, in 1935, an explosion struck Holborn Station, just next door to the British Museum line. Curiously, several witnesses swore they had seen the same spectral woman walking the tunnels minutes before the blast. Since then, she has been regarded as a harbinger of death, a condemned spirit forced to warn the living when tragedy is about to strike. But she isn't the only soul said to roam London's rails. In Aldwych Station, once used as an air raid shelter during the Second World War, sightings are so frequent that the site has become a favorite among ghost hunters. Soldiers and civilians have reported shadowy figures moving across the platforms, and even today those who visit during film shoots or private tours claim it. To hear the faint echo of old sirens, as if the underground still relives the nights of bombing and fear. Another grim story comes from Bethnal Green Station, the scene of one of London's worst wartime tragedies. In 1943, during an air raid, panic swept through a crowd descending the stairs. In the chaos, more than 170 people were crushed to death. Since that night, workers have reported hearing muffled screams and the cries of children echoing through the tunnels, always in the dead of night, when the last train has gone. Some swear the sounds come precisely from the spot where the victims fell. And then there are the subtler accounts, fleeting moments that make even the skeptics uneasy, like the story of a train operator in South Kensington who, in 1988, swore he saw a man in a suit waving from the platform. He stopped the train, but when the doors opened, there was no one there. The security cameras showed nothing. No intruder, no shadow. Only the brief reflection of something that moved too quickly to be human. These stories have endured for generations, passed on by workers, commuters, and tourists who claim to have felt the unexplainable. Some believe the ghosts of the underground are echoes of the past, imprints of lives lost beneath the city. Others insist that certain parts of the network act as gateways, thin places between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. The truth is, in a city as ancient as London, where every stone holds centuries of secrets, it's hard to believe the silence of the tunnels is truly silent. Perhaps, deep down, the underground is more than just a means of travel. Perhaps it's a cemetery of stories and of souls still waiting for a train that will never come. Even now, in the 21st century, the stories persist. Underground employees swear that in the quietest hours of the night, when the lines are closed for maintenance and the tunnels fall into complete stillness, strange sounds begin to echo, doors sliding open on their own, lights flickering one after another, as if something unseen were gliding down the platform. In 2016, a video went viral showing a shadowy figure crossing the tracks at Liverpool Street Station, just minutes after the final train had departed. Officials blamed a camera glitch, but viewers noticed one chilling detail. The silhouette appeared to wear an old-fashioned hat, the kind popular in the Victorian era. Coincidence, or a passenger who never made it out of the underground? Another notorious case involves a group of urban explorers who filmed a visit to Aldwych Station late one night. At one point, the sound of footsteps can be heard, slow, dragging, followed by a faint female whisper. When the recording was paused and the audio enhanced, the phrase became unmistakable: "I never left." There's also the account of a retired train operator from the Central Line. He recalled one night when, entering a tunnel near Bethnal Green Station, he saw a small child standing in the darkness, waving. He slowed the train, but the figure vanished. When he finally stopped and stepped down to investigate, he found tiny footprints in the dust covering the tracks. No intruders, no logical explanation, just the echo of sound. The stories are so many and so consistent that even the most skeptical workers avoid talking about them after hours. Some believe the underground has a memory of its own. Others say it's a mirror between worlds, a steel corridor where the past endlessly repeats itself. And so, night after night, London's underground keeps moving, its trains carrying millions of passengers across the city, but among them, amid the tired commuters and late-night travel, perhaps still ride those who never reached their final stop. London is a city built on centuries of history, and perhaps on centuries of souls. Every tunnel, every forgotten station seems to hold fragments of interrupted lives, voices that refuse to disappear. The underground, with its cold rails and metallic echoes, has become more than a symbol of modernity. It has become a labyrinth of memories, where the past and the present intertwine. Perhaps the ghosts of the underground are not physical apparitions, but living memories etched into the walls by everything that has ever happened below. Or perhaps time simply works differently underground, a place where yesterday and today still touch, and where certain passengers continue waiting for a train that will never come. The truth is, when the lights go out and the last train departs, London changes. The stations transform into scenes of absolute silence, until a whisper cuts through the air, a distant echo, the sound of footsteps, a sudden chill on the back of your neck, and for a moment you wonder, am I really alone down here? If you enjoyed this dive into the mysteries of the London Underground, don't forget to leave a like. It helps the channel continue bringing you dark stories like this one. Subscribe to Urban Secrets, hit the bell, and prepare for new journeys into the darkest secrets of the world, because some legends never stop.